Hello, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. This is your girl, Jenny. I am so excited to be here. If you can hear my voice, you know I am mad, mad excited. Whenever I'm here with y'all, I am crazy, crazy, mad excited. Let me turn my phone down because it's making noise right now. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's August 26th. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? We just say Happy New Month and then it's 26th. Ridiculous. I hope you're keeping track with your goals. I hope your self care is top notch. I hope you're doing amazing. All right. Look at you guys being here. Our guest is gonna be he's listen, if I don't see fire and heart, we're ending the show. If I don't see fire, if I don't see heart, if I don't see love, we're ending the show. Period. We already have people in the studio. Mwah, 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 mwah. That welcome Opwene. Opwene is always here. Always here. If he's not here, that means there's something wrong with his phone. Vivian, always here. Amazing mentor and coach, incredible. She was first. She says she was first. You are. Thank you, love you, love you. Thank you for your support always. All right, welcome, welcome, and thanks for being here. You could be anywhere, but you chose to be on the Get Sent with a Jenny show. You chose to log on to my channel, Inner Jenny's Corner, where we have this amazing, incredible show. I think this show is my baby, it's my last born, and I'm giving it my all. I love seeing you guys being here, supportive, being engaged. So I'll ask you something. Like if you haven't liked so far, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share. That's how you support us. That's how we feel loved. Aside you being here, that's how we feel loved. That's how we feel supported. And because you're here, God bless you for showing up. You could be doing something else better, but you came here, which is best. So God bless you. I love you. Thank you so much. All right. That was 3 minutes of my introduction. Let me talk about the guest. Okay. He is I would let him thank you. I want to see hearts. I want to see bombs. I want to see love. I want to see fire because he's a cool speaker. He talks. He has his own vibe. I have you guys already know my hands are up in the air. I'm all over the place, but he's like a cool speaker. He's gonna give us some wisdom. I hope you have your pen and your pad to take notes. You don't want to skip anything. My moderator is on her way. Yep, she's on her way out, and she would need for the outside and she will be doing the stuff as she's going along to her tournament, which I have to finish here so I can go join her. All right, my guest today is. I talked to him yesterday. I said my people have to start reaching his people because he's gonna no longer be available. He's so busy with amazing kids and an incredible wife, and he does so much to impact people. One thing him and I have in common is we do what we do to ensure that we're impacting people. Let's be the billionaire so we can help people, right? So his name is IB Double, and I don't want to talk too much so he can come and introduce himself. He's simply incredible. He's I would say a philanthropist. I would say he's doing God's work with confidence, and there's nothing about him that's by chance. It's God just working through him for humanity. That's what I would say. So with no further ado, let me see hands clapping. Let me see the wave. Let me see thumbs up before I introduce him. If I don't see a wave, if I don't see a heart, if I don't see a fire, we're ending the show. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. All right, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Yeah! Welcome. He can see he's a handsome bloke. He's a father. He's a husband. An incredible human. Welcome. I know it's Ibrahim, but I like calling you Ivy. People call you that or Ibrahim?
People call me a lot of time. People call me IB now. People call me Eves, and yeah, I love all the versions. It's
Okay,
still me.
I like IB. Makes you unique. So welcome to the Get Sense with a Jenny show. How are you today?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on your show. I've been looking forward to this moment, and I am just so excited to be with you here. It's a wonderful day out here. It's nice and sunny. Usually when the sun is out, I say God's light is shining upon us and through us. So I'm so glad to be here.
You guys hear that? God's light is shining. Can you guys imagine? So I want you. Thank you so much for being here. I've been excited. I've been wanting to talk to you, and then we shared a stage in Austin. I'm like, oh, this is confirmation. This is just confirmation. And then we talked yesterday. We are both driving on video. I'm like, this is not safe, but we're talking about business. So, welcome, welcome on the show. We're so happy to have you. Look at all the fire. Look at. Let me show you. It started from this fire. Look at that.
Oh
Look,
wow.
look at all that. Can you see?
I am so honored. I am so honored. Thank you. Thank
Look,
you.
look at the fire. Look at the love. Look at the fire and the love combined.
A
So
lot of credit goes to your show for hosting this awesome show. You know, that fire would not happen if you're not hosting this show. So I'm
thank you.
sure it's impacting the lives of so many
Thank you.
people, and I'm so glad
Yes.
to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. So introduce yourself, IB. Who are you? Who is this great man, IB? Now we
Well, like
now
you
we
already
can reach you.
mentioned,
Soon we can't reach you.
no, you can always reach me.
All right, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Tell
Thank
us
you.
about yourself.
Yes, I am Ivy Ibrahim. I am from the beautiful country of Sierra Leone in West Africa, where we prepare the best dishes in West Africa. I had to put that there.
Don't call that word.
All right, I would refrain from calling that. But like Jenny mentioned, I'm a husband, I'm a father to three beautiful children. My wife is my best friend for the last 19 years. Her name is Joy. We've had an amazing journey together. I grew up with many dreams of being successful and helping others. But along the way, I experienced a lot of adversity from the age of three, losing my dad and the impact that had on me growing up, trying to make sense of the loss. And between the age of three and the age of 14, I lost several other people who I considered father figures in my life. You can imagine growing up without a dad, and then somebody else comes in your life, a family member that truly loves you. That's what I experienced, a true love from a man named Uncle John, who did everything for me. Unfortunately, he got killed during the war in Sierra Leone. And I had other uncles that I considered father figures. One got killed. He was by a bicycle. He was walking down the hill and he got killed. So I experienced this and a lot of other adversities. And at the age of 14, I became a refugee. I spent 7 years in the Gambia as a refugee. And during that time, I just knew God had something wonderful in store. I knew it was not yet done. So at the age of 17, I became a leader for a global company while I was a refugee. And that was a dream come true that God really can do amazing things through us when we believe in Him and have
Mm.
faith.
I don't even know what to say after that. That's amazing. Just you saying that you being a refugee, that means you experienced war, right? You were part of. I can't even imagine because I always think about kids and just humans living through that. The bomb, the shooting. Is it going to be your turn? Like how? And then losing your dad, and then so many family members, and then I can't even imagine being a refugee, and then how I can't even imagine how you migrated here or how all of that. I'm just thinking in my mind that that must be something. Not that you haven't had other things happen, but just that. How has that transformed you into being the man you are today?
Well, it transformed me because it was God showing me about my purpose, and which is one of the reasons I launched my podcast, Purpose Graciously Revealed podcast,
Real.
early this year, where I get to share my stories and also invite others to share their stories of overcoming adversity. I believe God had to get me through that journey for me to really understand His purpose, the way He plans to use me in life. And I say that because from the early age of about 8 years old, I used to love listening to the news. BBC, Focus on Africa, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., Voice of America, 8 p.m. I was there. And it what got me involved so much was the news that I was hearing from neighboring Liberia. The other war was at the time. The war hadn't come over to Sierra Leone yet, but it really troubled me to hear about children being killed during the war.
This is
Uh,
at 8, when you were 8 years old.
I was age 8, 9, 10 years old. I remember listening to the news. I was just very troubled by what I was hearing. I wanted to help, but obviously I was still a little boy. I was confused why children getting uh, caught up in adults' conflict. Now, little did I know that I was going to go through that
Go through
experience
that
as
too.
well.
Wow.
So the walk came to Freetown, Sierra Leone, where I was living, and God works in miraculous ways. The only way we left the country was we had somebody whose name was Safar. He was the only one who was available to give us a ride out of the country. And how that happened was when the war broke out earlier years, he became a displaced from the provinces and to the capital city, Freetown, where we were living. He knew no one. So my family took him in. He stayed with us until he
See,
could get up on his feet. And so, yeah, so we left during the war by boat, spent 5 days at sea. That was a whole
that
different journey on its
experience.
own, and the things
Wow.
that we had to go through. But to answer your question, it's I had to go through that experience in order to understand fully some of the challenges that refugees experience, and not only refugees, but people who experience challenges, adversities, and be able to get that empathy and explore ways that what has God blessed me with that I can then use to help
Use.
empower and make a change. And that's how I got involved with writing and journalism at the age of 17 when I became the Africa correspondent for the leading soccer website at the time. I used sport as a way to find healing and to share stories of hope and inspiration and also raise awareness about war and the impact of war. So this was at a global level that I was
Level.
doing that, and that's one of the ways that it transformed me.
I don't even know how to pick from this. That's incredible. So for me, I'm thinking from that guy being displaced, the Safar, right?
Yes.
From him being displaced, and he was the one that was able to give you guys a ride that literally saved you guys.
Yes,
So
yes.
he
He
was
gave us a
planted
ride
for
to the
that.
boat. Yes,
He was
absolutely.
planted for that, right? And then you were 5 days at sea. I don't even.
Yeah, and one of the things the lessons that I learned, and I'm gonna say this because when I remember the person who brought Safat to the house, I was a young boy, obviously at the time, and you are explaining to my relatives that yes, this man has come, he doesn't have a place to stay, and the idea came up that where he should stay with us. I was very reluctant within myself. I'm like, he's a stranger. We don't know him. Where is he going to sleep? I was thinking about all the discomfort that might happen. And he ended up sharing a room with my brother. But I just love my space, right? And uh, that was a turning point for me too, because you never know who you host as a
Mm,
stranger. You might be hosting an angel, and his presence in our house, it made the house so lively. He was so funny, he was so energetic. Every time he's not home, we can feel that somebody is missing. And that was a learning lesson to me that sometimes people come into our lives, we may tend to look down on them,
mm,
but we just never know. We might be entertaining strangers, and to be open to people who might not look like us, or people who might not speak the same language as us, but we are all one people under God, created by God.
mm. Created by God. See, I love where your mindset is, and how, and thank you for that information, because I'm writing notes, I'm trying to type, and I'm like, so would you say that those adversities, those challenges, the miracles in between there, because while you have challenges, there are miracles there as well,
Yes.
right? The 5 days you are at sea, God purposely put you guys there so you can be safe to where
Mhm.
you guys were heading and where it would get. So, how has all of that gotten you to the mindset where you are right now?
Well, it has to do with a vow that I made to God because I remember around 2 a.m. on the penultimate night at sea, we were in this oil tanker, 600 people on board, covered with
Wow.
makeshift tarpaulin. One engine broke down, the communication system broke down. All you see around us is water in the
Water.
deep ocean, dark ocean, strong winds. And that wind was rocking that boat. I believe everyone thought that boat was going to sink. And
Same.
there I was, people were screaming, and I was in a little corner, and I was so scared for my life. And I'm saying to God, God, this is not the plans, this is not the dreams that I had, that
Dream
I'm
had.
going to die here in this ocean. I was with my older brother. And I made a prayer to God, and I prayed and I made a vow to God. I said, God, if you save me, if you save us, I will make the best of every opportunity that you give to me.
Mm.
And so by daybreak, when I saw the sunshine, I knew God had given me that hope. So it was my turn to live up to the bargain, right? The vow that I made. And, my wife always jokes with me now because I love this quote by Albert Einstein, which says, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Those
Mm.
days when I was a refugee, when every day seemed hopeless. I could tell how I'm going to spend the next day because there was nothing to do. After I
Mm.
graduated high school, fortunately, I was able to get to school in the Gambia. A loving family took me and my brother in. I just want to acknowledge them because I'm not sure what I would have done
Without them.
without them. Yes, a lot of people, a lot of support. The people who have supported me in my journey have played a big role. As to answer a question, to the mindset, the
Yeah.
prayers of people like my mom and my wife. All of that plays a role into who I am and the mindset.
Sets
And that vow that I made, and I
made.
said, and I'm thinking now, well, I don't have anything. I have lost everything. I only left my country with a backpack, and here I am. I don't know what the next steps are. The people are being killed, and I'm getting news about one of my other favorite uncle who was teaching me how to paint because I love painting. Got killed too. And I said, what do I have in the midst of this world that seems so dark right now for me? What do I have? And I realized that I love to write. Then how can I use my gift and talents of writing to make an impact, to make a
Impact.
difference? And that's where the mindset started. I believe deep down in my heart that I was to use my gift and talent for writing in a
Mm.
meaningful way to raise
Way.
awareness about the challenges, the issues, the war, and not only war but other uh, challenges like racism and things like that,
Mm.
and then also to inspire, to uplift people. And even though I did not have the experience as a journalist, I did not have the training. I went ahead and I applied
Up-
for a job to become a journalist, a correspondent for a leading global company as their correspondent for Africa. And I got rejected many times. And my friends were
Wow.
teasing me. They thought that I was going crazy. They actually said, Ibrahim is going crazy. He's losing his mind. But I felt deep down in my heart that God I mean, when you can feel a purpose, even though everything seems impossible, like Nelson Mandela says, it always seems impossible until it's done. It
It's
seems
his
so
own.
impossible for
Mm.
me, right? And a lot of people experience rejection. The idea is that don't give up. If your heart is truly and you truly believe that what I am pursuing right now is where my heart is, this is what I believe God is calling me to do. No matter the rejection, just keep pressing on. Because after a lot of those rejection, one company decided to give me a chance. And they gave me
Wow.
a month's trial. 3 weeks into the trial, they came back to me and gave me more than I ever would have anticipated. Instead of making me
Wow.
the correspondent for Gambia, they made me the correspondent for the entire Africa. And so when I
Whoa.
think about experiences like that, and it connects directly with the vow I made to God on that boat, and now he's in the middle of the difficulty, lies that opportunity. I pursued that by faith, because faith is what played a critical role in my journey then and now.
Rowan, Sean.
And then he opens up this big opportunity for me. So it's one of those things where, how do you deal with loss? How do you find purpose
Whew.
through loss? Right? You search for those opportunities. How do you deal with rejection? Get a mindset, block the noise. What I did, I stopped talking to those people. I stopped sharing with them, because they were dream killers. It seemed impossible for them, and maybe they were not doing it intentional, but just because it seems so impossible,
They can't
right?
think it for you.
They
Yes.
can't think of the possibility, but God was telling me that it's possible, and God was testing my faith too. And so, in your journey too, as you experience that rejection will come, don't give up, keep pressing. And that's the mindset that has brought me all throughout the journey. And I have wrestled with my faith a lot of times. God did that for me. There are other times where I have felt like giving up, right? Even within the last 10 years, some of the other things that I experienced, like hearing loss, it really, really broke me down, and I started giving up on a lot of my dreams. But that's where people like my wife came into the picture and was very supportive of me, praying for me throughout, helped bring me out of that. And here I am today sharing my story.
Whew. Can I tell you how many pages of notes I have? One, two, three. Wow, Ivy, you're such an inspiration. Did you say hearing loss?
Yes, yes, yes. If you want, I can talk about that too.
Please listen. At the end of the day, what I want is when a guest comes and they're telling their story, even if we can inspire one person, because it might not be hearing loss, but it might be something. Because you've talked about you've faced rejection, you've faced pain with the loss
Yeah,
of your dad, you've faced grief,
yeah,
and all those family members that died, you've faced disappointment, but you're
yeah,
holding on to the vow you made to God because He
yeah,
kept you alive,
yeah.
and that's kind of your mission now, right?
Yes.
And then from what you says, like what you said, who said that? I said it always seems impossible until it's done.
Yeah, Nelson
And then the
Mandela.
other one that you said was that
Albert Einstein,
Nelson
in the
Mandela. He said
middle of
Albert
difficulty
Einstein. Yes,
lies
in the middle
opportunity.
of difficulties lies opportunities. So these things have driven you to have this unshakable mindset, where yes, you have a family. Yes, you have a wife. Yes, you have all these things, but you're still able to want to be impactful
Yeah,
using the vow you made to God as a crusade, as a mission. So definitely share. I mean, this is you
yeah,
being
yeah.
open,
I-
right? This man, the
yes.
hearing loss.
Yeah, so let me just give a quick background, because every stage of my journey has been marked with loss. 3
Wow.
years old, I lost my dad, and then above 10 years old, between 11 and a teenager, I lost my uncles that I talked about. I
Wow.
had to deal with that. And then after that, I was dealing with bullying. It affected me to a point that I thought I was not even going to get married in the future as a result of bullying. And then come in my 20s, and I'm struggling really, like in school and in church, to understand speech, spoken word. And I'm saying to myself, I mean, I read stuff, I understand, I know I'm intelligent based on the results I have seen in the things that I've been able to do, but something doesn't make sense. And I can't make sense of that. I would go to do presentations. I would present very well with group work, my teammates in school, and I do a great presentation. And then when it comes to question and answers, I feel like the most stupid person. And I'm answering question based on what I think I heard, but not necessarily the case. So I was in grad school in 2013, and I went to the campus clinic for to report seasonal allergies. I did not even know what seasonal allergies was, and that's the time that I knew. Oh, this that I experienced all the time is because of the weather changing. And the doctor told me about a hearing screening that was going on campus, and because I told him to check in my ears. I usually ask different doctors to check my
Doctor's
ears,
check-in.
and I think that was God prompting me because it had nothing to do with hearing loss. It's just that my ears, when I put my fingers in, they both different physically. So
Wow.
it became like a fun thing to me. I always want to hear what each doctor would say, and every time they say, "Yes, your ears is good, it's clean, it looks good, it's great." But this time, and I feel this is where the Holy Spirit has been guiding me to ask all the time this question. This time was different. This is the third time I asked a doctor, and he said, "Oh, and there's a hearing screening going on campus for speech language pathology students." I was like, "Wow, that was the first time I heard about the hearing screening." So I said he recommended I go check it out, and sure enough, I did. I was so excited. I went in and I was like wanting to get this experience, and I sat down in the hearing center. They put the headset headset on, and the lady said, "When you hear a sound, just raise your right hand."
Right.
And that was it. I never heard a sound.
Wow.
I never heard a sound. And so going in, so excited, I left that hearing center in tears,
Wow.
devastated to learn that I had hearing loss. And I was diagnosed with bilateral sensorineural hearing loss. I then traced it back based on what I learned that I had been experiencing that hearing loss for at least 15 years without knowing it. So all the journey started to make sense how I used to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning to keep up with schoolwork, right? And stay in school, get home maybe like 11 p.m. when I was in undergrad, and in church where I did not understand the word. And so that broke me. That
Mm.
experience really broke me because I'm thinking about the stigma. I'm thinking about
Yes.
so many things. I've dealt with the stigma as being a refugee. Now I get to deal with the stigma as being somebody with hearing loss. And I haven't seen anyone that looks like me that experienced hearing loss. So I spent a long time grieving. I spent about 7 years, and my wife constantly encouraging me, praying for me, because she had seen me when we went to community college together. We met there
It's
19
good. Like, yeah.
years ago. She knew me. She knew I was very driven, but here she sees me, I'm so unmotivated. And that's where it's very important when we're going through stuff in life, don't go through it alone.
Don't go
Find
through it
somebody
alone.
you
Yeah.
can trust, that
Trust.
you can share with. But for me, I'm going to wrap it up here. Men, a lot of men don't like to express themselves, and
Express
that
themselves.
was me. A lot of
That's it.
times we go through stuff on my own, and I can tell you all these things that I have experienced over the years that I have kept to myself, and I'm saying I'm strong, I'm going to deal with it by
Do
myself,
it
I can do it, I can do it. And here now it got to the point that it had accumulated so much,
so
it
much.
started weighing down on me.
Wow.
So I'm grateful for my wife, and this is just a very good example where women, we appreciate you, because I know a lot of women are expressive, and my wife, something going on, she shares it with me. Me, I keep it in my mind. So I had to learn after we got married. I had to learn to be open,
Learn.
and in that
Wow.
process, I feel so light. I can sleep better, and I
Sleep
can think
better.
because I'm not dealing with the challenge alone. I can share it with
Challenge
my wife that I can trust.
alone.
She'll help me out.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there are other people out there, maybe it's a church community, other people that can support you. Don't go through it alone.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And now, was it like, how are you now? Like, how are you now with
Yes.
all of that?
I'm doing great. I can tell you, God always makes a way. I had to go through that too, so that God would help me understand what people who experience hearing loss go through, and that's kind of what got me involved with the advocacy work that I do. But I'm doing well. I started using hearing aids in
Wow.
2014. I did not like the idea of having to use hearing aids, because I'm thinking, what would people think about me? The very first time I put it on, whenever I'm walking on the street, I'm turning around looking who is looking at me and what do they
Who's
think
looking
about
at
me.
you? Wow.
So I struggled, I wrestled with that for a long time. But then I was like, okay, Ibrahim, you need to get past this, because it seems like it's nothing that's going to change. What's the
Change.
good that comes out of that? I tell you what, when they put the hearing aids on me for the first time, the first thing I said, oh, I can hear myself. And the audiologist was like, yes, because you're hearing now. You can
Yeah.
hear now. Oh my goodness. I stepped out of the hospital. I'm hearing the birds for the first time. I'm hearing sound and I'm saying, this is what I have been missing all this while.
Listen. Wow.
I got to my apartment. I was living in Michigan at the time. I got to my apartment. I opened the door and I immediately dashed in. I'm like, because when I was back home in Sierra Leone, there was a time that there was somebody left the tap open. Sometimes the tap closes for days, and sometimes somebody opened the tap, they forgot to close it, and then now the water was coming through, so the whole house was flooded.
So
So the sound when I got home that day from school, it kind of it was similar to the sound when I opened my apartment this time.
yes.
And I dashed in. I thought that maybe I left the tap open, the place is all flooded, only to realize that it was the sound from the vent from the
Oh,
AC
start
that
from
I
the vent.
never heard
Wow. Like you
all that
never
while in the
heard.
apartment. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been good. And interestingly, 3 weeks after I got the hearing aids, I engaged to my wife. So I have this joke where I said, we've been
Oh.
dating for 6 years. Now I'm hearing all these sweet words, all these beautiful things that you've been saying that I never heard. So will you marry me? And she said
Oh.
yes.
That's that is so sweet. That is
Yes,
my
yes.
goodness.
So
So
so now I'm involved with hearing loss advocacy and I do a lot of things.
and you became a what in Georgia? Tell us. You
Oh
became
yes,
a
so
yes.
about a year, when you step up and you turn your pain into purpose, God opens doors. God opens
Mm,
ways that you never even could imagine. So a year ago, the governor of Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp, appointed me as a commissioner for the Georgia Commission for the Deaf or Hard of Hearing. And this is a commission that works on behalf, advocates for people with who are deaf and hard of hearing across the state of Georgia. And so we get to advise the governor, the General Assembly, and we get to work with state authorities, all things related to supporting people with hearing loss and who are deaf so they can get services and opportunities that are available to others as well. So it's been a great opportunity. It was an honor to be sworn in by the governor last year.
that's
And
I
that was a journey, it was a milestone to that, when you go through things and you not let it hold you down, when you step up to help others, God opens those doors of opportunities for you that you never imagined. And the impact not
wow.
only on the people, but on your life, like me, on my life, to everything that we do that supporting these people, it brings hope, it brings satisfaction knowing that I'm walking in my life's purpose.
Wow. I don't. I mean, the show is over at this point. You've just closed down. No, no, you've said some things that. Thank you so much, Vivian, for my moderator's on her way to her tournament, and she's not able to, type up. And Vivian is doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much, Vivian. You've said
I
so
see
much.
Vivian's comment. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Yes.
She said, when you turn your pain to purpose, God opens ways so you can never imagine. And when you help people, God turns around and helps you, and there's that favor. I was listening to a pastor, Nathaniel Bassi, who is not a pastor, is a minister, music minister,
Yeah.
and he's having this 2 day, 3 day praying session, and he said he got a word from God saying torrent. Torrents means like heavy flow,
Yes.
overwhelming flow.
Mhm.
And I think that for me, listening to you now, I think you've had like a torrent of God's favor over your life. You've literally, from when you were 3, when you lost your dad, up till today, I don't know how old you are, but God has just favored you in ways that it's in line with your vow and is in
Mhm.
line with the actions you're taking. And I'm so, honestly, I'm so awed. Is it awe that I say? I'm so in awe, rather, and
Mhm.
by you. And I thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Now, I know the show is almost over, but and I'm glad, again, I'm glad that you're hearing well now, and you have a supportive wife, and I love the story of how you proposing to her when you started hearing, and after.
Yeah,
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
And I append one thing there. So that was then for the engagement, and now with the three little kids, 5 years and below. So sometimes our kids they get excited, they get loud, right? And so what I do when they're just so loud, and I just take my hearing aids off, and I say to my wife, "Good luck with that."
So when you take it off, you get you're back to how you were before, and when you turn it on,
Yes,
you
I
hear.
can hear the sound, but it's very dim, and sometimes I don't understand what they're saying unless I put it back on. But it's not as loud when it's on, so I just say, "Good luck, Joy, all the best." And she's like, "That's not fair, Ibrahim."
And
So
she's
life is not fair.
That's hilarious. I love that. I love that you can be lighthearted about all of this stuff because you've seen
Thank
God's
you.
work in your life. Now, my question to you would be, how do you advise that man, that person out there who has so much negative going on, has so much going on that they're overwhelmed?
Mhm,
And they're not really going to God. Not that they're not Christians, but they're not going to God because they don't know what to say to God, or because they don't know what they want. What would you advise that person out there who has, let me just call it like an adversity, like the challenge,
mhm,
where they don't know to go forward or backwards? They can't really make a decision because they don't see past the challenge. Because you didn't see past the challenge. You just say, God, if you get me out of this, I'm going to serve you. That's
yeah.
literally what you said, and that's what you're doing. But
Mhm,
what advice, as we round up the show, what advice would you give to that person out there who's going through stuff
mhm,
and maybe they've joined the prayer line? Sorry,
mhm, mhm,
sorry, that's my daughter.
mhm,
And they've like they're trying to get around what they're going through, right?
mhm.
Because for me, I always think when it comes to challenges, you can never what's the word, you can't measure what you've gone
Yeah.
through, what I've gone through, what anybody here has gone through. You can't measure it and say, okay, well, yours is more than mine is more than yours. But there's what would be your advice to that person watching who that
Mhm,
somebody's going to share to? What would be your advice to
mhm,
that person who's facing a huge challenge?
mhm. Yeah.
um how can
Mhm,
they thrive?
mhm. Yeah. So if you're experiencing adversity out there and you feel overwhelmed and you feel stuck wherever you are right now in your journey, I want you first of all to believe that God has a plan and a purpose for your life.
mm,
God's intention is not for you to go through this pain and this heaviness for the rest of your life. That's the first thing. You have to believe that. And then, by faith, right? Put faith to work. And how do you put faith to work? Because it's easy to tell somebody, well, have faith, but it makes no sense to anyone who is in that state of mind. You put faith to work by connecting with people that can support you because you were not created to go through pain and challenge and adversity all by yourself.
mm,
Maybe you don't have your family members around you right now. You don't have friends. You can find a church community. One of the
mm,
biggest experiences that I just experienced about a year or two ago was the value in men's group in a church. This was the first time that I
mm.
became a part of the men's group. And it's so amazing hearing experiences from somebody as young as in their late 20s all the way up to the 90s, right?
Wow.
And it's a community of support. And I see where people share stories that are real, one can relate to. And that community helps, right? And so find the support. Be open to recognize that you're going through a challenge, because sometimes I was in denial. A lot of times I felt that I'm strong, I can handle this. But the moment that I opened up and I accepted that I cannot handle this on my own, I need help,
Mm.
right?
Wow.
Maybe you need to see a psychologist, or whatever it is. It could be different things, but one, find that support person, believe that God has a plan and a purpose for your life, and then put faith to work. It might not seem possible for you right now, but also consider that God is testing your faith. Can you
Wow.
handle what He has in store for you? If you
Wow.
can't handle the journey, how can you handle the assignment?
Woo.
Right? So,
Okay, hold up. Let me write it. If you cannot, oh my God, if you can, woo,
if you
that was
cannot
deep.
handle
If
the
you can,
journey, how can you handle the assignment that He has in store for you? So, when you look at it from that perspective, right, God is going to make a way for you. You're going to know that you're not alone. You're going to know that there are people out there that are experiencing the same challenges, but then you're going to get help,
mm,
right? And then also find a mentor, because a lot of times, like my mentor Les Brown, you hear his stories about the things that he went through in life and how they've been able to overcome those adversities, learn from their experiences. If you can afford a mentor, if you cannot afford a mentor, church community, or maybe you would know who has made an impact in your life some way,
Uh,
somehow, that you can connect with that person and say, let me open up to this person and see if I can trust him, and take it from there. But I think those are
wow.
things that
Things
can
keeps
be considered.
glitching.
Yeah.
Wow. Um. Wow. I'm pinning everything you're saying. I can't even write anymore. I can't listen. I can't. I'm trying to write. Thank you so much. And you guys have heard it. If you're a man, woman out there dealing with adversity, a difficulty that you don't know how to get over, number one, he says, hold on. Number one is know that God has a plan and purpose for you. Like Vivian has said, let me put them first here. Let me put it here. And then the second one is, where is that? Let me see what she says to you. See what Opone says. That's my younger brother in Nigeria. He says your story is so emotional and inspirational.
Thank you.
God indeed is great.
Amen.
Um,
Always.
and then of course Vivian said you're getting best of both worlds, where she said you're when the kids are making noise, you take out
Yes, indeed. Best of both worlds.
best of both, yeah, exactly. And then that was my question, and
Mhm,
you saying that knowing that God has a plan and purpose for your life, and
mhm,
also puts put faith at work,
mhm.
put your
And
faith to work,
mhm. Yeah,
right?
and just really quick, I just wanted to share too. My podcast, I share a lot of my story, and
Yes.
so visit not only my podcast, but you can find inspirational videos like Les Brown's videos. I discovered them on YouTube. It really, really helped me in that journey to get back up, as my wife was helping me out
Yes.
around 2020, and I got back up. So yeah, you can check out my podcast, Purpose Graciously Revealed. You can find it pgrpod.com, or my wife too. She has for women. So if you're a woman,
Send me all of that, so in the
yes,
description of this show I can put it at the
absolutely,
bottom, and then I'm
yes,
going to put that also on my Instagram and Facebook, because this is
yes.
and that was the last thing I was going to ask you, where can we reach you?
Oh
So I'm just
yes.
going to summarize this real quick. So he says put faith to work.
Mhm,
You were not created to go through challenges by yourself. Thank you so much, Vivian. And then get look for a community of support, and that's really very helpful. And
mhm,
also be open to recognize that you are going through a challenge, right? There's no
yeah,
need to be, sometimes our African men, they have to act like they're stiff. They have to act like they don't need any help. They have to act really strong, but they have a core that is still that little boy, that's still that little girl, and they can be vulnerable to know that, you know what, I have a problem. I don't know how to solve it. Because one thing that Les Brown, I think it was Les Brown that said it, you cannot solve a problem by thinking the same way you thought before you got into the problem.
yes, mhm,
You cannot have the same mindset that started the issue. You couldn't
mhm,
handle it, and now you can't use it. So, and I have so many questions, but maybe another show. It's how people can embrace change, but that would be a whole different show. And
mhm.
then you said find a support system, a support person, a support system, and if you cannot handle how, if you
If
cannot
you
handle
cannot handle the test season,
the
right? The
journey, the
season of test,
test,
the journey,
yes.
yes.
How can
Mhm,
you handle the assignment God has in store for you? Yes.
mhm.
And you said find a mentor. And in summary, you says when dealing with when dealing with I'm trying to read through when dealing with let me go back there. When dealing with difficulties, I think for me it's good to have an open mind, however you can in between, right?
Yes.
And what you do is first of all inspirational videos and podcasts like one of yours. So many things. You guys please go on here and ensure that you read this comment and still go to my channel and go to the live session, and you would see the show and leave comments in there, anything you can think about, because this is somebody who's alive here, strong, with a family, a man, has kids, is a husband, and his wife does podcasts too. And I think I'm gonna need to talk to her to get to get on the show as well, because listen, together everybody achieves more, right?
Yes.
It's not, at the end of the day, it's not like all the money, 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 but it's more about what you're getting. That way you're a different person when the money comes. If you have the same mindset of poverty, if you have the same poverty stricken mindset, or if you have the same bad habits, even when the money comes, you can't handle it. Even when the right
Right.
person comes, you can't handle it.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you're such, like my brother said, you're such an inspiration for being here.
Thank
And
you.
he's already shared. Share one more time what your podcast name is and your wives, and
Yes.
where we can reach you. Where
Hmm.
can we reach you? Somebody wants to send you a message and say, "Hey, I want to partner with you to, I'm going through something. How can you help me? Where
Yes.
can you be reached? And what's the name of your podcast?"
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Is Purpose Graciously Revealed podcast, and you can find that at www.pgrpod.com, and you can find it on any of the podcast directories. We're on the Apple Podcast,
Like
Spotify.
Spotify? Okay.
Yeah. And then my wife's voice imprints. So my wife, she works predominantly with women and families as well, but she's doing some major transformation in the lives of women. So check out her podcast at Voice Imprints, voiceimprints.com. You can also find her on, again, Apple, Spotify,
Okay.
podcast. And yeah, so the email address, if you want to reach me, at ib@ibdabo.com. And you can also reach me on social media. All my social media handles at ibdabo. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. If you can find me there, then you will find me with the handle at ibdabo. Thank you again for the opportunity.
IB.
This has been such a
Thank you
wonderful,
so much. Thank
wonderful
you.
time.
I appreciate you. And I want to pray something for you. God bless you for sharing this, because it will change lives.
Thank you.
It's
Amen.
everybody in here. I've learned something. I've learned from the quotes that you've given, from the story, and always positive, and you speak so calmly. I'm like, I will be I'll be all over the place. But again, when God has a plan for your life, there's a way He keeps you that way. Let me share what everybody else is saying. They're thanking you for being here. They say thank you very much for sharing, and they're correcting and saying, yeah, if you cannot handle, yeah, that's that. And IB double, I say IB double.
Oh,
It's IBDABO. I'll share that in the.
That's
Thank
funny
you
because what
so
my
much.
sister-in-law, there's the song "Everything Now Double
Double
Double," so she
double
always say double double. She said
double.
double double. So it's so interesting that Vivian.
Oh God, she's incredible. She's busy. She's very busy. So that's the one. Let me see this one right here,
Yes,
right? But it's
yes,
a small
that's
letter
right.
D, right? Or it
Yes,
doesn't
IB
matter. It's,
double. Mhm.
yeah. So thank you so much. God bless you, bless your family, and like my mom always says, there's God should put a hedge of protection around your family. I know how busy
Amen.
you are. You travel, but that more eyes will see you, that more ears will hear you, that more people who cannot hear or who are not able to hear listens to you and finds a solution, and God helps them. Through you, people are healed, men, women, children, and so many more. We want to get she's laughing too. And I just thank you for being here. You
Yeah.
you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here. I definitely need to hook up with your wife so we can talk. If she's talking about women, I'm all for it. And I appreciate you, and God bless you. Any wise words for the folks before you leave?
Well, I want to say thank you again for the opportunity, for the great work that you're doing. This is an amazing platform. I've heard some of your story and some of the goals that you have. You are going to change lives. You already are changing lives through the work that you're doing,
Thank
despite
you.
your busy schedule as well.
Yes. Thank
The
you.
last words that I want to just say is be kind to yourself. Pause sometimes, take a break. I was the person who constantly is going on and on. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? No break. And then I mess up sometimes. I'm very hard on myself. I would be so frustrated for a week because I messed up somewhere. And then I learned that when you give yourself grace and be
Mm,
kind to yourself and take a break and be there for your family, love your family, make time for your family, and especially make time for God. That's one of the things that I'm constantly challenging myself to put God first in everything that I'm doing. And by faith, sometimes we experience the storms. Just have that faith and believe that God would see you through and your dreams will come true if you don't give up. Just keep
Wow.
pressing on. God got your back. Thank you.
Wow. You guys hear that? I can't add anything to that. Thank you so much. Everybody in the studio, Vivian, Opwene, Osaki, that's my cousin, that's Nigerians. Thank you so much. Definitely share this. Share this for somebody who needs that hearing, that is going through something, or maybe you don't. A lot of times people don't share what they're going through, but you don't know who you can share this to that needs the nuggets that he has shared today. God bless you for taking your time to come into the studio and listen to our show yet again. Episode 31. Thank you for coming to Get Sense with a Jenny. God bless you all as you go. Be safe. We're out. Thank you so
Th-
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. We are out of the studio. Let me end the broadcast.